If you want to make instant dreadlocks or maintain frizzy dreadlocks, make sure to pick yourself up a crochet hook from Greatlocs.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Greatlocs. I'm Gunther the Great, and today we're going to be taking a look at DaBaby's dreadlocks, and we're going to be looking at, how they're short and obviously how he got them, but we'll take it step for step on how you can actually get dreadlocks just like him. So before we get into today's video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe because I drop dreadlock content every single week. And if you comment down below who you'd like to see next, I'll make a video on that person. But guys, let's go ahead and get straight into it. DaBaby is one of those people that I never expected to get dreadlocks just because of his previous hairstyle. And I feel like it's very typical when you see someone who has short hair, typically waves, they usually don't want dreadlocks. And this is speaking from personal experience. Obviously me saying that is more biased because everyone I know who had waves or had short hair never really wanted dreadlocks. Typically the people that get dreadlocks are people that have grown their hair out, they usually have an afro, and then eventually they just decide, all right, I'm gonna do dreadlocks. Or if you ever see someone do box braids a lot, or if they do cornrows a lot, then they eventually will just get dreadlocks because they're used to doing long hair hairstyles. Now of course that's just my biased decision, but out of all that I would say it's just mostly interesting to see someone go from short hair, who typically has short hair. I haven't seen DaBaby with long hair, but it is cool to see someone who has short hair get dreadlocks, just grow the hair out and then start the locking process. But let's talk about how he did it and why his hair looks the way it does. Now this next photo isn't the best quality, but this is around the time that his hair started growing a little bit more, and his hair doesn't look that long, but to be honest, his hair is probably about realistically 3 inches right here. Considering his hair type, his hair is going to appear very short. So let's go ahead and just move on to the next photo. Now this photo isn't the best photo as well. The issue that I always run into with a lot of people who have just recently started out their dreadlocks is that they typically don't have that many photos, and I really wanted to make this video last week, but I literally couldn't find any photos of DaBaby with his new starter locks. But with that being said, I will do an updated video once more photos of his actual dreadlocks come out. But we do see right here that his hair actually appears even shorter. Now the reason his hair actually appears short ties in a lot to do with his hair type. Like I mentioned in the last photo, his hair appeared to be shorter, although it is about 3, maybe even 4 inches long. And the reason it does look like that is because his hair type is a 4B, which is a very tight curl pattern. He could even possibly have a 4C hair type, but with that tight of a curl pattern, the hair typically appears more short. Now the really cool thing about that hair type is that it locks up really fast. So realistically, even though he does have starter locks, those things aren't going anywhere because they want to stay in that section. And this is the struggle between, straight hair dreadlocks versus the tight curl pattern dreadlocks. When you have a 4C hair type versus a 1 hair type, the 4C hair type wants to actually hold those locks in, versus with the 1 hair type or the straight hair type, it takes a lot more effort to keep that all together. So if you take that comparison and say even if you have a 2A or even a 2B hair type, it takes more effort and time to actually start and continue the process of locking up your hair with that hair type. And that's why you typically see people with a tighter curl pattern with dreadlocks more often than you do with the straight hair pattern. And it's like how I always say, it's more suitable for the tighter curl patterns. Now to even tag along with that being short hair, yes, I did say that his hair is about maybe 3 to 4 inches. Now it is stretching it. I would say it's leaning more towards 3 inches. But why does his hair appear even shorter in this picture when he has a starter locks versus the picture before? And that's because during the locking process, especially the starter locks, they're going to appear extremely shorter than your actual hair. In some cases, your hair might even shrink about 1 inch to even 2 inches. Now, even if your hair is longer, it can shrink up to 4 to maybe even 5 inches, depending on how long your hair actually is. But moving on to this next photo, we're able to see a little bit more of the length. I mean, you see that there's some standing up, but with them laying down mostly, that just goes to show what actual method he used to actually start out his dreadlocks. And to be honest, these are only starter locks. They're comb coils, and we're not even sure if he's actually going to keep these in because they are still in the beginning stage. They're very immature. They're not anywhere near being 100% locked up. And just to give you guys some info and some background, it takes about a year for any hair type to get actually fully mature within the dreadlocks. Now, of course, you can speed up the process using like a Greatlocs crochet hook or a Greatlocs interlock tool. But even then, after completely locking up your hair, whether you do instant locks or interlocking to instantly lock up your hair, you still have room for improvement. And that's the thing about dreadlocks. There's always room for improvement. And for everyone out there that might be disappointed in their dreadlocks and not like the way that their hair looks, here's some encouragement for you guys, that no matter what your hair looks like, it's always going to be improving. That's the thing about hair, because there's so many factors that go into it. The hair is always going to get longer, the hair is always going to get tighter, and I mean, there's so many different things you can do to add on to that. Like you can get a fresh lineup, you can get a fresh fade, We see that DaBaby right here has a high top fade, matching the same fade that he had even with the short hair. And I just think it looks very clean, especially with his new starter locks. But yeah, everyone out there who may be disappointed in the way their hair looks, just hold on, give it some time, and trust me, they will eventually get to the point where you really like them. But I will give you a pointer to just enjoy the hair that you have all the time. And it's really your decision to make to say that you're gonna enjoy your hair through every single step of the process, because it's not always gonna look the way that you want it to, or that you expected it to look. So just be patient. That's really the biggest thing, is to be patient. Now this photo is from the same night, but it does give you a better look at what's going on. Based on how skinny his dreadlocks are, it looks like he probably has close to 100, maybe even more than 100 dreadlocks on his head. And that's actually very easy to do considering his hair type. When you have a tighter curl pattern, it's easier to do more dreadlocks. And when you have a tighter curl pattern, it's easier to do skinnier dreadlocks. So those go hand in hand. Skinny dreadlocks and more dreadlocks go hand in hand. But it does make it all the easier when you have a tighter curl pattern, because you have more hair to play with. But guys, I really do hope that explains everything on why his dreadlocks are actually short. I think the biggest thing is just his hair type. Now from my perspective, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably been growing his hair out for about 6 months. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, probably closer to like 4 or 5 months. But I mean, honestly, it could be 6 months. Like I explained earlier, how there is shrinkage, especially considering that these are starter locks, and considering that his hair type is a 4B, maybe even a 4C. All that makes the hair appear way shorter. But to see that DaBaby is actually even growing out his hair, I think it's really exciting to see what he's going to do next. I do believe that he's going to keep these in, so it's going to be cool to do updates on his hair, so stay tuned for that. But like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to comment down below who you'd like to see next, and I'll definitely make a video on that person. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Now without further ado, I'll see you in your first class.